Hey everybody, what's going on? Hellmite here, bringing you another video from Grab the Lantern today, and holy crap, I know this is late, I know this isn't usual content, but Samira actually just hit the PBE. No teaser, no video, no trailer, no nothing, she's just hopping on PBE, so I'm not even going to refresh the page, just in case she gets taken down early. It does feel like this was a accidental push because this is all earlier than expected. Mubi even says here the files are data mineable and pulled from the server but are not active in the client, so this is all stuff that is possibly a mistake, so it may get pulled immediately, unsure as of yet. But let's go ahead and talk about Samira, the Desert Rose. Now, this is a very different style than I expected. I was really thinking she was going to be a lot more like a Bayonetta, Dante from Devil May Cry kind of appearance. I love the pirate angle. I love the sort of desert angle. Sorry if I sound really off the cuff, by the way, guys. This is literally like first reaction. I saw this and I immediately said, I gotta get this up. So this is all going to be pretty much first impressions of stuff. So anyways, I love the appearance. She's got the cool gunblade sword thing, which does play into her kit. I did look at that a little tiny bit. So that is going to vary what she's got. Base stats here. Attack range is 500, which is actually very low, especially for an 80 carry. But since she's supposed to be sort of a hybrid of melee and range in the first place, that does make a lot of sense. I hope Riot don't buff that. I know low range 80 carries traditionally have had problems. I'm hoping Samira sort of sticks with the play pattern, though, of being a high risk, high reward champion, which I think she really does have the opportunities to be. First and foremost, Samira's passive is Daredevil Impulse. She builds a combo by hitting attacks or abilities unique from the previous hit. What this means is that if she auto-attacks you 3 separate times, that doesn't make any progress on the style meter, whereas if she auto-attacks you, Qs you, auto-attacks you, Es you, auto-attacks you, that makes 5 progress on the style meter. She builds up from E to S and gains X% movement speed per grade. Her attacks in melee range also deal an additional percentage of magic damage increased based on the target's missing health. So she's going to be better at killing people, and she does have the ability to enter melee range for extra damage, which is important to say because obviously it exposes her to harm, but it also means that she has the opportunity to deal more damage. This is the weird part. Samira's attacks against enemies affected by immobilizing effects knock up for half a second and deal damage over 6 separate attacks. She dashes into range against targets slightly outside of her attack range. Now, this is confusingly worded, and I'm assuming it will make a lot more sense when we actually have gameplay footage, but what this means to me is that Samira, when she auto-attacks an enemy who's immobilized, she knocks up that enemy for half a second and hits them 6 separate times. So she already is going to synergize super well with on-hit effects because that's 6 separate procs of those effects, or 6 chances to critically strike. She also dashes into range against targets who are slightly outside of her attack range. The dash range is 800 units, so very, very slightly outside of that maximum of 500 range. So very interesting there. It does mean that she has some interesting interactions with supports, especially who have immobilizing effects. I can see, for example, a world in which a Lux hits a binding and Samira can dash into range to immediately follow that up. Note that there's 6 separate attacks, but since they're all auto attacks, they will not trigger her style meter. But it still means that she has some follow-up crowd control, which is almost always good in League of Legends. It's one of the reasons why Swain was so strong, because he had the pullback ability on his passive for free to just follow up on crowd control. So this is similar to that. It's a little shorter range, but it does mean that she has that guaranteed value. Samira's Q is Flare. She fires a shot, dealing damage to the first enemy it hits. If it's cast in melee range, she slashes with her sword instead, dealing physical damage. It looks like the scalings are the exact same either way. Either hit can critically strike for 25% bonus damage. And if cast during Wild Rush, which is her E, she'll strike all enemies in her path upon completion. So Wild Rush is a dash, so she'll sort of dash through them and then hit them all with the shot or the slash. This ability looks pretty basic. It looks like a relatively short cooldown, especially at max rank. That's a 2-second cooldown. So she will have ready access to this, and it does feel like the easiest way for Samira to build combo power that way will be auto-attacking and weaving in Flare in between each attack in order to stack that up, because it just has to be unique. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be unique. It just has to be non-sequential. As far as I'm understanding the passive so far, it may not work like that, but that's how I would read it, is if you auto-attack Q, auto-attack Q, auto-attack Q, you're at S rank already. Samira's W is Blade Whirl. She slashes around herself for a second, damaging enemies twice for physical damage, and destroying any enemy missiles that enter the area. Again, this is the kind of high-risk, high-value ability. This is her one and only defensive tool, so Samira really needs to be cognizant of when she uses Blade Whirl, especially given that this is a 20-second cooldown at maximum rank, you are getting one cast of this ability per team fight. Almost guaranteed, especially when the ability haste rework comes out. She's really never going to be able to use this ability, so you have to get value out of this, but it is a very, very powerful defensive tool. She should be able to use it probably at least once a wave to stave things off like Morgana Bindings or even Leona Zenith Blades, because those are blocked by Yasuo Windwall. It's similar in function really to Yasuo Windwall here, so this is going to be the important cooldown to track against Samira, or when you're playing as Samira, this is the ability that will allow you to play aggressively. Samira's E is Wild Rush. She dashes through an enemy or ally, slashing enemies she passes through and gaining attack speed. Killing an enemy champion refreshes this ability's cooldown. She gets up to 50% attack speed off of this, which is not too bad. It's not tremendous, but it's not too bad. There is a 10-second cooldown on this at maximum rank, though, so again, this is not an ability you're going to have tremendous access to. This is really either her way out of a bad situation or her way into a bad situation, as the case might be. Now, this is the ability where she dashes through. After she dashes, if she was casting Flare, she'll strike all enemies that she dashed through. So there is the potential to dash through the enemy AD carry and support. As you're pressing Q, you shoot both of them. Immediately you follow that up with a Blade Whirl to counter the automatic damage that's going to be coming your way. That sort of a thing. And if you get a cooldown or a kill, it refreshes the cooldown, which is a big deal. It does mean that she has the opportunity to use this multiple times in a fight. Now, this is where things get silly, which is on her ultimate, which is fittingly called Inferno Trigger. She can only use this ability if her current style rating is S, so there is a guaranteed amount of ramp up time. She doesn't get this immediately at the start of a fight. She unleashes a torrent of shots from her weapons, wildly shooting all enemies surrounding her 10 times over 2 seconds. Every shot deals physical damage and applies lifesteal. They can also all critically strike. Now, these shots by themselves don't do that much. A full channel of this does 300 physical damage, which is actually decently high, but for a rank 1, but that's actually her rank 3 ultimate. So the damage is not going to be significantly high, but the lifesteal is a big deal, and the fact that each of them can critically strike is a big deal. This feels like, to me, like a very valuable team fighting tool, but you have to be very cognizant of when to use this, given that it is a channeled ability. Think of it a lot like Katarina. Now, the targeting paradigm is not very clear right now. I would expect it to be something like Lucian Ultimate, where you're able to kind of press the button and then move freely, maybe even dash freely while you're in Inferno Trigger, getting damage on everybody nearby. So sort of, if you can think of a hybrid of Death Lotus and the Culling, would be what I would expect. Let's see, do they have a video? They do not have a video. Okay, so we don't know yet. I'm assuming something will be released tomorrow to kind of show off Samira's abilities and give us a better idea of how they work together. But either way, this still seems decent just in terms of survival and in terms of following up on an initiation. So your tank goes in and starts the fight. Your probably secondary fighter goes in to continue the fight. Samira walks in after before the dust is clearing, presses R, and basically blasts everybody. This is the fight ender, especially given that she can dash into range with Wild Rush, Inferno Trigger, and then when she gets that first kill, Wild Rush refreshes, so she has that to start following up on enemies and just pick up frag after frag. Either way, this seems like a really interesting playstyle. She's going to be very risky, but she does have the possibility to be very high reward, especially looking at Flare. We don't know these scalings quite yet, but if Flare has a good AD scaling in particular because of its low cooldown and the fact that it can critically strike for extra damage, Samira can dish out a ton of damage. Now, reading the quick lore blurb here, she is a Noxian, actually, so she is sort of a Noxian Special Forces agent who goes in to undertake dangerous missions. So I do quite like that. I think it's a very interesting character to introduce to Noxus, given that we have a bunch of very stalwart military men and women in Noxus already. And we have some auxiliaries, but they all kind of fit the same sort of pattern of they look kind of sort of evil. Cassiopeia, for example, is a Gorgon, not a big, that's not exactly what you want to see. Kled is a Yordle, but he's sort of the military man. So I do like that we're getting to see an extra side of Noxus with someone who sort of operates outside the bounds of the traditional Drefarian Legion, Noxian Warband kind of deal with Samira. I do like that. Either way, the kit looks great. I can't wait to see it in action. I'm really hoping for a video that comes out before too long. So anyways, that's going to be it for me today, guys. Let me know what you're thinking of Samira down in the comments section below, or if you see any other information, put that down in the comments below so I can check it out as well. Thank you all so very much for watching. I know this was a weird video, but I did want to get this out before things got too stale. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and leave a like, and if you really enjoyed it, consider subscribing. This is unusual, but I upload videos every Monday, Friday, and on patch days as well. Once again, thank you guys so very much for watching, and I'll talk to you all later.